Hey everybody, Ash here with another GMG review. Today we're going to take a look at Soul Wars: Wrath of the Everchosen, the latest, I guess, campaign supplement for Warhammer Age of Sigmar that moves the timeline forward a little bit in the Soul Wars, where Archaon is absent from the 8 points, and he has his lands invaded by Catacross and the Mortek Guard and all those Bone Reapers. So, yeah, this is what's happening. This book is almost the opposite of the last Games Workshop book I reviewed, which was the Psychic Awakening series, where there was about maybe 19 pages of background and rules of what's going on, and a whole bunch of pages of rules. This is the opposite. Oh my god, this one is a huge amount of like timeline stuff, stories and background, and then jumps into a fairly light amount of rules. What you're going to get here is basically updates for the Demon books and all of the Chaos faction, Grand Alliance Chaos faction stuff in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So kind of a little smattering for everybody. Not a lot for any one faction. I was kind of hoping for, well, I was hoping, but also kind of worried that this might be a little bit like the first Psychic Awakening book, where you bought where the Chaos Space Marine Codex came out, and then basically the other half of the Chaos Space Marine Codex was in the Psychic Awakening book, where like all the Black Legion and what's it? Huron Blackhearts folks, the Pirate Space Marines. Oh my God, Red Corsairs rules, the Renegade rules were in the supplement. So this isn't like that. There's no one faction in Chaos kind of getting picked out here and given a whole bunch of extra stuff. I will say though that the add-ons here are predominantly for demons. There's not as much for mortals and Slaves of Darkness as there's demons in here, but not one faction of demons really picked out as being added to. And this also supposed to represent the different hosts that are living in the 8 points, basically defending the All Gates from the march of the Mortek Guard and Catacross and all the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Nothing for the Bone Reapers in here though. There's, I guess, I mean, you've got they take place in all the scenarios and stuff like that. They feature in it, but no new rules, which I found a bit odd because I figured if you're going to feature some new stuff, this would kind of be the format for that, but I guess they've got what they've got, and that's what they're getting, and nothing really new in this book. Although they are the big bad for Archaon in this story. So the TLDR version of this, it expands a little bit upon what the 8 points are, and if you don't follow Warcry at all, but you're a Warhammer Age of Sigmar fan, the 8 points was something that was first really talked about in Warcry because it's the setting for Warcry, and it used to be kind of the hub of all the mortal realms. It was the all points previously before it became the 8 points. And it was the primary bastion for Sigmar's Pantheon, connecting all the mortal realms. There's 8 huge doors called the All Gates. They connect all 8 realms, and there's a huge city basically in the center of it all, where these things called Fomorians basically worked for the Lords of the City and built these giant, huge, you know, like trading posts and merchant houses and all kinds of things. During the Great War Against Chaos, it was the place that Archaon needed to take, and now he kind of rules his Chaos Empire from there. It's his oh geez, what was it called? I'm having like a He-Man flashback as to where where what's his name lived, where Skeletor lived. It's like where he rules his like Dark Legions and stuff. And so yeah, so he's like, he never was defeated during these wars basically, but now Catacross has woken up. The Necroquake has of course broken open his tomb, and if you haven't been following Malign Portents, he's the big bad that woke up that Sigmar was imprisoning. And Nagash has sent him to go and try and take these All Gates, because if you can take the All Gates, then they can get into the sort of like proper fortress that is the 8 points, and start fighting Archaon on his home turf. And this basically outlines that whole process. So again, we got some cool background stuff, basically describing it. Kind of collects all the information we have from Warcry, from the Ossiarch Bone Reapers book, and from the various Chaos books, and kind of brings it up to date, which is pretty cool. So if you've been reading this all in pieces, it kind of puts it all together for the like what's been going on, what it is like in the 8 points. I like the Empty Throne. He basically makes a throne out of the soul stuff of all of like the great mighty heroes he defeats over the years, but he won't sit on it until all is chaos. That's his thing. Is the throne sits empty until he sits on it, and yeah, and he's He's like, he's very like focused on his whatever quest the Dark Gods are giving him right now, because there's something he's out doing that only he can do, and he's taking a bunch of his Vanguard to do it. So the rest of the Vanguard are basically stuck, and the Lords of the 8 points are stuck fighting Catacross by themselves. And it gives some background for Archeon and Dorgar, his Steely Apocalypse that's now a giant dragon monster. He used to be a horse with the stats of a Chaos Lord. And the thing he's out doing is trying to free Slaanesh, so he basically needs to unlock him from where the elves have him tied up, siphoning off all the elf soul stuff, and this is a great picture of him with all the elven like waystones basically like latched onto him, pulling all the soul stuff out of him, which I think is pretty cool. So this is there is a lot of like cool stuff in here. Yeah, like just like first person Slaanesh talking stuff, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, so we get down to the nitty gritty then of course the fact they're being assaulted by all the Mortarchs, and the different Mortarchs, the old lady. So what's her face? The Mortarch of Grief is joining the fight. And like I said, this just goes on and on. Yeah, and Catacross basically taking one of the all gates too. So they're in the door right now in the 8 points doing their fighting. More background on Catacross and the Mortis Praetorians and how awesome he is. And then Archeon getting mad and coming back because he's super mad. He's gonna go fight. So he was absent. They took one of the gates, and he comes back and is like, "Yo, dog, this my spot. Get off my corner." And he's all like, "Look, I brought my friends. Let's fight." Oh, these guys are all out of coherency. It bothers me. They'd all die in the battle shock phase. There's nothing more than an inch of each other. And then we get into, so now we're at page 50 and we're getting into the color section. So lots of painting stuff. How to paint Be'lakor, because Be'lakor gets his own little allegiance in here, which is neat. I have this little Be'lakor model too in metal, which I should just repaint and do this for. Although I need to buy demons from every faction, because his whole thing is he's all different gods. And then just a whole bunch of painting tips, using primarily the contrast paints as foundation, and then highlighting and putting stuff up afterwards. But a handy little painting guide if you want to do some chaos stuff, including the 2 different factions and the rules section. So now, there's not a lot of match play rules in here. There are 2 sections for adding wild monsters and siege rules, but there's not a lot of like match play stuff. So if you're primarily a narrative gamer and you want to recreate the 8 points like realm of battle stuff, perfect, this is for you. But primarily what you're looking at is some baby allegiance rules, and once you've taken those allegiances, then the inherent sort of like faction, you're picking a sub-faction rules for chaos. And so yeah, realm battle, fighting the realm points. So you roll to see what your realmscape effects are. The gods have no interest in this place. There's no effects. Drifting choke spores. Units cannot fly. In addition, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons. Oh, sorry, flying army. Sorry, bouncing goblins and ghosts. Exalted Melody. Units can run and still charge later in the same turn. So all armies can do that, both sides. However, any unit that runs and charges the same turn takes D3 mortal wounds into the charge phase because they just hurt themselves. Roaming monsters. So just, again, a cool reason to buy all the cool new monsters that have come out and all the monsters that are already out. So things like the Gargant, the Chimera, the Cockatrice, the Cygor, the Fomoroids, the Gorgon, Jabberslaith, the Mindstealer Spyranx, which is that cool new cat model. The Mutiled Vortex Beast, Slaughter Boots, Soul Grinders. There's just a Wild Soul Grinder. A Wild Soul Grinder appears, like, around the corner. 10 Chaos Wargrounds, 6 Furies, 6 Raptoruses, or 3 Razor Gores. 3 Pumbas, that's hilarious. And then they show up, and then they have a behavior table for what they would do, which I think is funny. So you roll the behavior table to see what they're doing. So if they're in combat within 3, they can get spooked and run away, or distracted. And just not fights, kind of like a stupidity check, because there's no psychology in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so this kind of like replicates the fact that there was the old monstrous reaction chart and what people do. So it's a nice little add-on. It definitely adds some character to your games. And then Wandering Endless Spells, because you know the 8 points is messed up, and there's just weird spells wandering around. And they're not part of either army, they're just Wandering Endless Spells. Once you've picked a Wandering Endless spell, you must set up in the battlefield, roll a d3 and consult yada yada. So try d3 and then d3. For the example of this player's rolls a 2, it'd be in the center of the battlefield. So the wandering spells get set up 9 for that point and more than 6 for any units. You not immediately move that model, even if the ability is in the lower scroll normally allow you to do it. It's not being cast, it just shows up. The total number of wandering endless spells in the battlefield cannot exceed the number of artifacts of power in both players' armies combined. If neither player has artifacts of power, only one Wandering Endless spell can enter the battlefield. Start of each battle round, after all predatory endless spells have been moved, the players roll off. Starting with the winner, the players alternate setting up Wandering Endless spells, following the same rules as before. And then again, it has like a behavior chart is what it's going to do. So they can move, they can surge. The player activating the Wandering Endless spell must move the model as close as possible to the closest unit. Unleash power, the player activating the Wandering Endless spell rolls the Unleash power effect table overleaf and immediately resolves the effect. So they can explode. Arcane Implosion on a 1. Every unit within 18 takes, on a 6, takes d6 mortal wounds. Temporal Distortion, roll a dice for each unit within 12 of the Wandering Endless spell. On a 6, remove that unit from the battlefield and set up anywhere again on the battlefield more than 9 from the enemy. It just teleports your units around. And then like Arcane Radiance, roll dice for each unit in the battlefield on a 5+ to take d3 mortal wounds. So just bad things happen. There's wandering monsters and wandering spells just everywhere because the 8 points is just messed up. And then Siege, so doing Siege Warfare and playing in a mini campaign, there's the Siege phase. Takes place after the stronghold's been built and before army's been set up before the first battle round begins. You're seeing what's happening during the siege. There's 3 main tactics that a besieging army will employ. You can starve or gather supplies, you can batter and rebuild, you can tunnel and counter tunnel. So that's what your attacker and defender is doing. So you're starving people, battering and tunneling, and then you're gathering supplies, rebuilding or counter tunneling. And both attacker and defender will basically compare on the chart. So if this guy's rebuilding and this guy's battering, it would be -1 batter overall. And then you see what happens during the assault. Once all the siege effects have been rolled for, the attacker commences their assault and the first battle round begins. So you'd roll to see what happens. So you roll on batter in this case, it'd be -1 batter. Attacker rolls a dice for each terrain feature in the defender's territory, applying any of the relevant modifiers for the siege table. On a 5+, it's been breached and none of its abilities can be used in this battle, but it can still provide cover. So like, on a 5+, your Gloom Shrine doesn't work. Or your Gloom Tide Shipwrecks don't work. Again, obviously, this is not something that's going to worry about match play games, because this is just a fun siege. You're playing as a stronghold thing. You're setting up stronghold terrain to do it with. I think it's special command abilities, like dropping boiling oil, or sallying forth reinforcements. I mean, it's only 2 pages or 3 pages of rules, but it's a fun way to use some of these bigger terrain pieces. I do wonder if this stuff is ever going to come out, because this does look like it's a plastic kit. These big like siege walls for the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. And I wonder if they're ever going to release it, because you see it in pictures all the time. And then you get all these cool allegiance abilities for being different factions. Like the Gloomspite, if they're the attacker, if you have a Gloomspite Gets army, once per battle, you can use demolition charges without spending any command points, because you like to blow stuff up. And then defender. If you have a Gloomspite Gets army, subtract 1 from tunnel rolls made by the attacker in the siege phase, because you're better at tunneling, because you're a goblin. Yeah, it's just funny. And then some siege scenarios. Deathly Pursuit, Fall of Chariots, Forest of Eyes, Bridge of Molten Screams, Battle of Herod's Torment. And then we're into the Hosts of Chaos. All right, so these are the various Hosts of Chaos that defend the 8 points from all of its evil order invaders. I don't know how to describe that. The noble defenders of the 8 points. And so it's 2 new allegiance themes, 2 sets of allegiance abilities for players fielding themed chaos armies built around the Battle of the Varanspar, so Legion of Chaos Ascendant and the Knights of the Empty Throne. And then each of these sets of allegiance abilities feature new battle traits, command traits, and artifacts of power. The rules for these can be used in Warhammer Age, can be found in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar core book. So then you get your War Scroll battalions on top of that. These are formations made up of several Legion of Chaos Ascendant units that combine their strengths to gain powerful new abilities. But only the Legion of Chaos Ascendant got some new War Scroll battalions, which means it's the demons. And so the Hosts of Chaos, this section includes new allegiance abilities available to be a Chaos Army on the battlefield. When you choose a Chaos Army, you must decide which Chaos faction your army will belong to. You can then give it a Host of Chaos keyword from the following list. For example, if you have chosen the Khorne allegiance for your army, you can give it a Baleful Lords keyword. All Khorne units then gain that keyword. So basically, it depends on which books you have, and then some of these are going to dictate if it's Mortal or Chaos, or Mortal or Demon, or Slaves of Darkness, or Rotbringer, or something like that on top of it. So basically, when we say Khorne, we're talking about Blades of Khorne. When we say Tzeentch, we're talking about Disciples of Tzeentch. Nurgle, it's going to be the Nurgle Rotbringers. Slaanesh is going to be the Host of Slaanesh, and then Legion of Chaos Ascendant. Legion of the First Prince. So this is only available to Legion of Chaos Ascendant, so that trait, which is the big like demony one, and then it's Legion of the First Prince is only a Bellacor's general, so it's the Be'lakor only army, which is pretty funny. And let's jump through them. So we're gonna start with all the Legion of Chaos Ascendant stuff. This is all the demon stuff. So if you're choosing a Chaos army, you can decide if it's a Legion of Chaos Ascendant army, and they all gain the Legion of Chaos Ascendant keyword. However, you may only include units that have the Chaos Demon keyword in this army. So Chaos, Legion of Chaos Ascendant, everything has to be a demon. And then you get your battle traits: Unwavering Devotion, Infernal Realm Walkers. You can roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Chaos Ascendant demon unit, 6+ negated. So the whole army gets 6+ wound shrug. And then Undying Legions. This is pretty cool. At the end of your movement phase, pick a friendly Chaos Ascendant demon hero that's on the battlefield and roll 3d6. On a 10+, you can summon one of the following units: 10 Bloodletters, 10 Plague Bearers, 10 Demonettes, and 10 Horrors of Tzeentch. No Furies, though, which is interesting. So if you ever played War Machine, you probably know that a 10+ on 3d6 is below average, actually. 11+ is the average roll. It rounds up to 11. So there's a 9. There's also a commander that gives you +1 to the roll. So for probably 2/3 of the game, there's an 11. There's a 13. There's a 11 again. There's an 8, 7. It's probably about 2/3 of the game you're gonna get a free unit, which is, let's say, 3 out of 5. You're gonna get 30 free models in this army, basically. And it's not even a command ability. It's just, you just get it during the hero phase. They have to be set up wholly within 12 of the Chaos Ascendant demon hero and more than 9 from the enemy. If the modified roll is double, you take a mortal wound. If it's a triple, you take D3 mortal wounds. So there's a price potentially to it, but it's at random, and most of your heroes can probably suck a wound or D3 mortal wounds, because triple is not going to be very common. And then your command traits, you're going to get Primordial Commander, so again, +1 to that roll. Ruinous Aura, you get +1 to your Infernal Realm Walkers if you're within 8 of the general. Wholly within 8, so your bodyguard's going to get a 5+ wound shrug instead. And then Infernal Charge, you can reroll charge rolls made for friendly Chaos Ascendant demon units wholly within 12 inches of the general. Now remember, you're still going to have whatever the Chaos Demon keywords are, and the Tzeentch, like the Allegiance keyword for like Tzeentch or whatever on top of that. So you should be able to use a lot of your War Scroll Battalions out of your main book still too. Not that I think like Tzeentch is going to drop their Allegiance abilities for this, because like the trading dice ability and stuff is going to be amazing. And even like you're going to lose out on all your Blood Tithe points and stuff that you build up. So like your Pain and Pleasure points for Slaanesh. So I don't think this is going to replace any of those books, but it's a neat way of playing the game. And it basically, instead of earning points, you just get 10 mana units for free on a 10+ roll on 3d6 with typically +1, because I don't see why you'd... I mean, the Wound Shrug's nice, but I would probably just take the +1 to that and get as many guys as I can. Artifacts Power, the Fourfold Blade. Pick a weapon from the bearer's melee. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll affords a 5+, get D3 mortal wounds. But it ends the attack sequence. Armor of the Pact, you can reroll save rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the bearer. And Saint Skin Banner, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of units that are within 9. So enemy units within 9. And then your spell lores: Ruinous Sorcery. 3 different spells. Bolt of Ruin, cast on 7, pick an enemy unit within 18, invisible. And roll a die. If it's lower than the number of models in the unit, they take D3 mortal wounds. So a kind of worse Arcane Bolt, I guess. Cast on higher value, same range. Always D3 mortal wounds instead of 1 or D3 on a high roll, but like, I don't know. Echo of Hatred. Cast on 7. If successful, pick a friendly Chaos Ascendant demon unit within 12, but caster invisible until the end of the battle round. If a model from that unit is slain by an attack with a made with a melee weapon, they can fight before they're removed from play. But not pile in. It just says fight. Does fight include a pile in now? I think it does, actually. When you pick a model to fight, it piles in and then makes its attacks. Yeah, no, it does include a pile in. Sorry, some things in 40k I think dictate it says pile in and fight, because I don't think it's as well defined in 40k. When you pile in, it's not part of fighting. But yeah, no, I think in AOS it's actually nicely defined that when you pick a model to fight, it piles in first. So I'm too many games. Spirit Gouge. Spirit Gouge, cast on a 7, if successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 of the caster invisible. If that unit has the death keyword, you can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that by friendly Chaos Ascendant demon units that target that unit until your next hero phase. So yay, good against ghosts. Yay. And you get some cool hosts. The hosts with the mosts. So the Host of Rage. Now the nice thing about these hosts is they are super open-ended for the most part, except like the unit requirements. You need to spam dudes for most of these in individual amounts, not taking big units to actually unlock them. Because like the hero one's pretty easy. It's 2 to 3 Chaos Ascendant Corn Demon heroes, so 2 to 3 of any mixture of heroes. But then it's 8 Chaos Ascendant Bloodletter units. Yeah. I guess that let me just see. I think so I have the Tzeentch book in front of me. I think some of the units double down though, because I think maybe the cannon. Actually, no, I'll look at my phone. I think maybe the Skull Cannon's also a Bloodletter unit, so there's probably the ability to take some Bloodletter units that aren't just those units. Hopefully, let me see. Because then, like, the Skull Cannon also qualifies. I hope it has that keyword. Skull Cannon. Meh. Skull Cannons, it's 2 words, not 1. Does it have Bloodletter? It does have Bloodletter. So, like, Skull Cannons would qualify there. What else is 8 Castanet Bloodletter units? Because that's heroes. I wonder if maybe if I just look up Khorne. I bet there's the ability to just take a bunch of things. So Bloodletters, Blood Crushers are probably Bloodletter as well. Yeah, so it's going to be Blood Crushers, Skull Cannons, Bloodletters. It is fairly open-ended, but it has to have the Bloodletter keyword to qualify, so not dogs. The Herald, is he a Bloodletter? He is a Bloodletter. So I guess if you just took 2 heroes, the other heroes you took that are Bloodletter keywords would also qualify for this, but it's basically 10 units with the Bloodletter keyword total. 2 of them would have to be heroes. And that's a lot. that's a lot of dudes. And then the same go for Plague Bearers. Sorry, but this one right here, you can roll charge rolls for friendly units from the battalion. This one's 2 to 3 and then 7 because it's all the magic god number. If you unmodified hit roll for an attack is a 6, get +1 damage to the attack. That one's pretty great. Plague Smeared Blades. It's 180. It's neat. They put the point values right here because they said they didn't want to do a page for 4 point values, which is kind of handy. So it's 160 for Host of Rage, 180 for Host of Corruption, Host of the Arcane, 2 to 3 heroes, and then 9 each units that are horrors. 120 points. Add 1 to casting and binding dispelling rolls made for friendly casting and demon wizards from this battalion while they're wholly within 9 of 2 or more other friendly units from the same battalion. This one would be great if you could just take it and plain disables as Zinch, but they've marked Chaos Ascendant Demon Wizards. So if that could just be used by regular Zinch armies, great, but no. You're missing out on all the other Allegiance abilities from the Disciples Zinch book, so there's no point. And it's cheap. Host of the Depraved, 2 to 3 Slaanesh Demon Heroes, and then 6 Chaos Ascendant Demonette units. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly units that charge in the same turn for 120. So neat, but I mean, again, I guess it's cool if you want to mix and match demon units, but you're giving up on all the cool points and summoning stuff. I mean, Blades of Khorne, maybe, they're still pretty good. They're not Slaanesh or Zinch, who are kind of like the rockstar demon armies right now, but it's a neat idea. And the Knights of the Empty Throne, this kind of encompasses the everything else. So it's all the mortal Slaves to Darkness, still some demons, and then Bellicor. And it's supposed to be the Knights of the Empty Throne. It's basically the guys left behind when Archaon goes off to try and free Slaanesh. So you have the Fist of the Everchosen. If you're given your army the Knights of the Empty Throne keyword, friendly Knights of the Empire Throne Varangard units gain the hero word if Archaon's not part of the army. So all those little units of Varangard, they all become heroes, which is interesting because it means that in certain missions like Places of Power, they can score zones. They don't get Lookouts, however. They just don't get it. But they do get access to command traits and artifacts of power listed opposite. So now you have a unit of heroes, which is kind of cool. The command ability they get access to is Unmatched Conquerors. You get this command ability at the end of your charge phase. If you do so, pick one enemy unit that controls an objective and is within 12 inches of a Knights of the Empty Throne hero. Roll a dice equal to the number of models in that unit. For each 3+ until the end of the battle round, the number of models in that unit are counted when determining control of the objective is reduced by 1. Same unit cannot be affected by the command ability for more than once per turn. So basically, on average, 60 Night Goblins on an objective zone, when you use that command trait, only 20 of them count as scoring it. So that could be a huge swing. I mean, just on average, right? Because you're trying to roll a 3+ for every model, and they don't count then. However, Ogres, for every 3+, they would count as 1 instead of 2, which I think is interesting, because it's 1. They count as 1 less model. If failure's not an option, you can use command ability when a friendly Knights of the Empty Throne Varangard unit is destroyed. On a 5+, set up a new Knights of the Varangard unit wholly within, of 3 models, and it's added to your army. Set up wholly within 6 of the battlefield, more than 9 from any enemy units. You cannot use command ability more than once per phase. So it's only, I mean, if you're taking all Varangard, I guess that's cool. It's a 1/3 chance of your Varangard coming back to life and just coming on the table of 3 models. So I think it's worth it. It's a cool idea. And then we got command traits, Overloads of Chaos, Annihilating Charge. The Warlord is master of the All-Out Assault. You can reroll charge rolls for friendly Knights of the Empty Throne units wholly within 12 of this general. Inescapable Doom. Enemy units within 3 cannot retreat. And then Wall of Cursed Iron. When a friendly Knights of the Empty Throne unit wholly within 12 of this general uses the Warp Steel Shields roll, add 1 to the roll. So their 5+ Mortal Wound Shred becomes a 4+. And then Artifacts Power, Chaos Test Treasures, Flask of Demon Blood. In your hero phase, you can roll a dice for the unit bearing this artifact. On a 4+, you can heal D3 wounds allocated to the units. They get a built-in heal, which is pretty cool. Grasping Plate. They're eligible to pile in and fight if they're within 6 of the enemy. You can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in, so you can just suck them into combat, basically. And then Corrupting Nullstone. Once per battle, they can dispel, or they can unbind a spell in the same manner as a wizard. If they do so, it's automatically done and you don't roll. All right, the Flayed. So the Flayed is the Bloodbound Warband, basically, and their special effects are going to be at the end of the combat phase. You have Bloodbroken Runes. If any enemy heroes or monsters are slain by attacks made by friendly Flayed mortal units in that phase, you add 1 of the save rolls for attacks to target that unit for the rest of the battle. So basically, you soak your runes in blood, and gods become happy and they protect you. I guess the idea. I prefer to think it's you just start wearing their skin. That sounds more like a Bloodbound thing. Your command ability is Wrath Speaker. You can use command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Flayed mortal unit, wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Flayed mortal hero. With that command ability, add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit if it made a charge move in the same turn. Remember, this is Khorne only. And then your Vessel of Butchery command trait, you can reroll prayer rolls of 1 for friendly flayed priests within 8 of the general. And then the Slaughter Helm, add 2 of your charge rolls for the bearer, which is your artifact power. And it's the first one has to be given this, must have this command trait, and then you get that command ability for everybody. And then the Baleful Lords is the demon version. Unbound Slaughter. Friendly Baleful Lords Bloodthirsters can run and still charge in the same turn. In addition, if you're fighting a pitched battle, you can include 1 additional behemoth in your army as long as every behemoth in your army is a Bloodthirster. That's the idea, is that it's just the Baleful Lords are all Bloodthirsters. You have an army of Bloodthirsters. Just go buy all the killing machines. Have 5 Bloodthirsters in your army. Your command ability is Frenzied Annihilator. If you use this command ability in your combat phase, if you do so, you can in your combat phase. In the combat phase, if you do so, pick 1 friendly Baleful Lord's Bloodthirster until the end of that phase. When you look up their damage value, the model is treated as if it suffered 0 wounds. So you just go back to full for a CP. Command trait, Thirst for Carnage. Add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Baleful Lord's Bloodthirsters within 8 of the general. And then your Black Brass Crown. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks target the bearer. It's +1 save. Oof, it's pretty great. Of all of them, this is the one that I think people might use, and just make an army of 5 Bloodthirsters and the stuff that follows them around. It's pretty great. Now the only problem is this one's. Oh no, I think anybody can use these. I don't think it has to be the Legion of. I think the Legion of Chaos Senate can use this one too, because it's just Khorne. Where is it? Yep. You could have the Legion of Chaos Senate with the Khorne keyword be the Baleful Lords. So you could use this and then have those Bloodthirsters bring in more Bloodletters every round too if you want, which would be cool. And I think they can bring in other demons too. Technically, I don't think you're. Let me just look. I don't think you're actually prevented from doing anything else. No, it is if you're Khorne Hero, it has to be Bloodletters. Never mind. Has to be. But that one's pretty cool. I mean, it would be trolly and fun. The Unbound Flux, this is a demon one again. So this is for Tzeentch. Each time a friendly Unbound Flux demon wizard casts a spell that inflicts any mortal wounds, roll a dice for each unit that suffered any mortal wounds inflicted by the spell, and a 4+, take an additional 1. And then command ability, Fueled by Mayhem. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Unbound Flux demon wizard, wholly within 9 of a friendly Unbound Flux demon hero, or wholly within 18 of a friendly Unbound Flux demon hero that's a general. Add 1 of the casting rules for that wizard until the end of the phase. Can't benefit for more than once per turn. And then you get your command trait, Aegis of Insanity. Do not take battle shock tests for friendly Unbound Flux demons while they're wholly within 9 of the general. And then your artifact power is the Enlightener. Pick 1of the bearer's melee weapons. If an unmodified hit roll is a 6, that attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. Cool for someone with lots of attacks that are crap. And the Cult of 1,000 Eyes. This is for all your mortal stuff. After armies have been set up before the first battle round begins, pick up to D3 different enemy units. For the rest of the battle, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Cult of 1,000 Eyes mortal units to target those enemy units. Eyes everywhere. You can use command ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Cult of 1,000 Eyes mortal unit, wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Cult of 1,000 Eyes mortal hero. And at the end of your start of your next hero phase, enemy units do not receive the benefit of cover against attacks made by that unit. And then command trait, Tzeentch is Pleased. Each time you spend a command point, if this general's on the battlefield, you can roll a die on a 5+, heal D3 wounds, the allocated general. And then Crown of Whisper is +1 save rolls for attacks target the bearer. So Cult of 1,000 Eyes is pretty cool, especially if you wanted to do like a Tzeentch. I don't know. Tzeentch like a Slaves to Darkness army, because it's just mortals. Anybody can use it. So if you gave them the Tzeentch keyword, if they all have the Tzeentch keyword, you do Slaves to Darkness, all with Tzeentch, and then give it that host ability. Yeah, because any Chaos army can have these, right? So if you're Chaos, you could also be Tzeentch and then have like whatever this set of traits. Pretty neat. And then the Munificent Wanderers. We're into Nurgle now. You're a Locus of Corrosion. While an enemy unit's within 3 inches of a friendly Munificent Wanderers demon unit, worsen the run characteristic of units' melee weapons by 1. So Nurgle units aren't affected, so everybody's run gets 1 worse because everything rusts. Command ability is Infested with Wonders. Use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Munificent Wanderer demon unit, wholly within 14 of a friendly Munificent Wanderers demon hero. So this is, again, a demon-y army. With this command ability. Until the start of your next hero phase, if an enemy unit ends a charge within 3 inches of that unit, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Can't benefit from this command ability more than once per turn. And then your general has to have one last gift. If an unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon that targets a friendly Munificent Wanderers demon unit wholly within 12 of this general is a 6, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound after all the attacks have been resolved. So every 6 they roll to hit you, they take a mortal wound. For demon units wholly within 12 of the general. So that him and everybody whole within 12 of him. And then his artifact power, the Muck Talon. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the weapon that targets if the target's a hero. So pretty cool. And again, primarily your demon units are going to benefit from this. They're going to all get Locus of Corrosion. So you could take a mixed army, but it's the demons that are going to benefit. The Droning Guard, Locus of Corrosion, while an enemy unit's within 3 inches of any friendly Droning Guard demon units. Worsen the run characteristic of that unit's melee weapons by 1. Nurgle units are unaffected by this ability. And then command ability, Thrice Blessed Rotspawn. If you're using this command ability in the combat phase, if you do, sorry, you can use it in the combat phase, command phase, in the combat phase, oh my god. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Droning Guard Plague Drones unit wholly within 12 of a friendly Droning Guard Demon Hero. With this command ability, until the end of the phase, add 1 to disgusting resilient rolls made for that unit. It's pretty cool for a CP, go to a 4+ wound shrug. And then your general must have Rotwing Commander. After armies have been set up before the first battle round begins, friendly Droning Guard Plague Drones units can move 4, so get a free 4-inch move. And then Cloak of Flies, -1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the bearer for your general, for the first artifact power, sorry. And then the Blessed Suns, this is all the Mortally Nurgle stuff. It's interesting, you get 4, I think you get 2 Khorne ones, you get 4 2 Tzeentch ones. Yeah, 2 Khorne ones, 2 Tzeentch ones, but you get 4 for Nurgle. The Blessed Suns, your Nurgle's Embrace, roll a dice each time a friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer unit is slain in the combat phase. On a 2+, the attacking unit takes a mortal wound. If the attacking unit has the Nurgle keyword, heal 1 wound allocated to that unit instead. And then a Blessed Suns general must have this command trait, once per turn. You can use at the double command ability on a friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer unit within 12 without spending a CP. So you get to run 6 basically for free once per turn. As your command trait. And then your command ability, Degraded and Defiled. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer unit wholly within 14 of a friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer hero with this command ability. Then at the end of that phase, pick 1 enemy unit that suffered any wounds or mortal wounds inflicted by that unit in that phase. If the combined number of those wounds and mortal wounds is greater than the bravery characteristic of that enemy unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. So basically, you do a bunch of murdering, and then at the end of that phase, at the start of the combat phase, they'll take wounds if the guys died a lot. I think that's neat. It's a gamble though, right? Because if you don't do the damage, then you're not going to do the mortal wounds. But against a low courage unit where you're only trying to do like 3 or 4 wounds, it's cool. You just have to gamble on them doing a lot of damage. Artifact power, the Blot Shell Bile Plate, reroll save rolls for all attacks target the bearer. So just reroll saves for everybody, for that guy. But all shooting and melee. And then the Drowned Men, I just like the theme for this one because it's basically like it's Nurgle's like plague fleet. They're like pirates and stuff. Nurgle's Embrace. Roll a dice each time a friendly drowned men Rotbringer unit slain in the combat phase. And on 2+, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If the attacking unit has the Nurgle keyword, heal 1 wound allocated to that unit instead. And then your command trait, Bloated Raider. You can reroll charge rolls for friendly drowned men Puscoil Blightlords units, wholly within 14 of the general. And Kneel Before the Plague is your command ability. Use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly drowned men Puscoil Blightlords unit, wholly within 12 of a friendly drowned men Rotbringer hero. Till your next hero phase, the unmodified wound roll for an attack with that unit's blade weapons is 6. Improve the Ren by 1. And again, this could be combined with that new damage to demony one. Because it could be, yeah, there seem to be, oh sorry, no, it's only on rock, never mind, it's only on Blightlords, they're not demons. You won't be able to get that one. And then Rot, Crick, and Hide, add 1 to the bear's wounds for your artifact power. We're into some Slaanesh stuff, the Lurid Haze, and Slaanesh also gets 3 of these new hosts. And now these are all tied to the various hosts of Slaanesh, which is interesting. So the Lurid Haze is for invaders, the Faultless Blades is for pretenders, and the Scarlet Cavalcade is for God Seekers, which is kind of interesting. It ties to other keywords. So for the Lurid Haze, after setup is complete before the first battle round begins, you can remove D3 Lurid Haze Invaders host units from the battlefield and set them up in ambush as reserve units. Any setup restrictions in the battle plan being used still apply. If you do so at the end of your first movement phase, you can set up the friendly Lurid Haze Invaders host units on the battlefield wholly within 6 of the battlefield edge and more than 9 for enemy units. So basically you start ambushing around the edge. And then Feverish Anticipation is your command trait. You can reroll run rolls for friendly Lurid Haze Invader host units that are wholly within 12 of this general when the run roll is made. Command ability Intoxicating Pall. You can use this command ability once per turn in the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Lurid Haze Invaders unit wholly within 12 of a friendly Lurid Haze Invaders host hero. With this command ability, until the end of that phase, add 1 to save rolls for attacks target that unit. The same unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per turn. So, +1 save. It's kind of cool. You basically drunk everybody and you get harder to hurt. And then the Oil of Exaltation, you get a wound for your general. Bonus wound. The Faultless Blades, send me your best. So add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders host units that target a hero if that friendly unit made a charge move in the same turn. So when they charge heroes, they get +1 to hit. Your command ability is the Armor of Arrogance. You can use this command ability once per turn in the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders hero unit wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders host hero. Sorry. Faultless Blades Pretenders host unit wholly within 12 of a hero with this command ability. The first 2 wounds allocated to that unit are negated. That one's pretty great. It's just negating 2 wounds in the phase. Oof. In the combat phase, obviously, not against magic and shooting. Your command trait, the Contest of Cruelty. Friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders host units that start a pile-in move wholly within 12 of this general can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in. And then Contemptuous Brand is your artifact. Pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with that weapon that target a hero. So +1 to wound against heroes. So you're +1 to hit against heroes, just because we charge, and then +1 to wound against them if you're that general with that artifact or a character with that artifact. Cool for killing heroes. And then the Scarlet Cavalcade. So this one is Excessive Swiftness as your ability. At the start of your charge phase, if 2 friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host units that each have 10 or more models are within 6 inches of each other, you can make 1 charge roll to determine the charge distance for both units in that phase. So basically a single roll for both. That's neat. It means that if you do spike high, or if you spend a reroll to try and spike high, you'd have 2 units go the same distance. Vicious Spurs for your command ability. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host unit that made a charge move that turn and is wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host hero. Till the end of that phase, if the unmodified save roll for an attack that targets the units is 6, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been resolved. And your command trait, a Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host general must have this command trait, Embodiment of Hate. Reroll Battleshock tests for friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host units wholly within 12 of the general. So just rerolling all your Battleshock. And then your artifact is the Helm of the Last Rider. Ride or die. Add 1 of the bravery characteristics of friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseeker host units that are wholly within 12 inches of this bearer. So, I mean, your general way for that artifact of power, your +1 bravery rolling failed tests. That's neat. I mean, yeah. and you get to charge a little bit better. It's interesting because it's all the Godseeker stuff, so I think it's all the Chariots and Riders. So the fact that this is, let me see which is which. I think the Chariots and Riders are the Godseekers. Godseekers, Slaanesh. And each of these is basically built around one of these tags. Seekers. Nope. Godseekers. Secret Chariots. No, it's not the tag I thought it was. It must be the actual like type tag from the book. That would make sense. And then we're on to the Legion of the Dark Prince. Yeah, so this is Be'lakor's jam right here. This is Be'lakor leading all the different powers of chaos. So your abilities are the first Dan Prince. You can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by Be'lakor while he is within 8 inches of at least one of each of the following friendly Legion of the First Prince units. Bloodletters, Plague Bearers, Demonettes, and Horrors. So you have to have all 4 units with an 8, and he can reroll ones. Not wholly with an 8 though, just with an 8. In addition, before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Be'lakor, pick a friendly Legion of the First Prince, Bloodletter, Plague Bearer, Demonette, or Horror unit with an 8 of him, and roll a die. On a 4+, it's allocated to the unit instead. So the second part doesn't care how many units are around him. The first part does. So the first part, he has to have 1 of each. The second part, if he's near any of those, he can just shrug wounds into them forever, which is cool because he's only an 8 wound demon. I mean, he's pretty killy. I think he's, what, 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. So he's pretty beefy and killy, but he's only like 250 points, if I remember correctly. And, you know, cast 2 to spell 2, but this will keep him alive a lot longer. Half his wounds are going to go into the units. Command ability, the Shadow Legion. This is a pretty cool ability. You can use this command ability once per turn at the end of the Battle Shock phase if Be'lakor is your general and on the battlefield. If you do so, roll a dice for each friendly Legion of the First Prince, Bloodletter, Plague Bearer, Demonette, and Horror Zinch unit on the battlefield. So that's all of them with that tag. This is the tag version, so that means that it's also all your Secret Chariots. It's everything with that tag. So everything with a demon riding it. On a 3+, return D3 slain models to that unit. So models, doesn't care how many wounds they have, D3 slain models. So is this a reason? Can you take more than 1 Secret Chariot in a unit? I don't think you can actually. But like, if there was ever a reason to take like units of chariots or units of, I mean, obviously the Cav you'll be taking units of, but units of, I don't know, the Cannonball Bros. Let me just see right here. If I go to Azer and I forge a new army and I just go Chaos and take everything. Match play, 2,000 points, and let's call this Be'lakor Madness. Be'lakor Madness, because that's a pretty cool command ability. Continue. How could we troll this ability to get like the maximum number of like big dudes back? Other units, Blood Crushers. There we go. So D3 models back to Blood Crusher units. What else is big like that? We could get back. Let's see. I forgot Cast Familiars is a war scroll. I should paint my Cast Familiars. Demon. I'll simple that are here. Cypher Lords. I'm just looking at other units because they're typically the ones. Exalted Chariots can take more than 1. Fiends. That's a cool one. Flesh Wounds. What else is big? What else is like crazy expensive and big? A Hellflare can take more than 1 Hellflare. And Hellstriders obviously are. They're not demons, I think they're mortals. I might be wrong. Mighty Skull Crushers. There's so many things you get back. Because it's D3 and it's every unit in the battlefield. So like anything that's died, Secret Chariots, Seekers. And this is just me quickly going through, so I'm going to miss something here, I'm sure. Zangor Enlightened. Yep, Zangor Enlightened on discs, get D3 models back. What else? Wrathmongers might be demons. Are Wrathmongers demons? I can't remember. They might be. Because I know they're corn, but they're like half turned into demons already. Let me just see. Wrathmongers. View War Scroll. Are they demons? They are. Yes, but they're not Bloodletters. Never mind. Sorry, and they're not demons either. So that doesn't work. Zangor is. Oh, but Zangors aren't either because they're not horrors. Yeah, you can't do Zangors. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. But Seekers, you could bring back because they all have the Demonette rule. Can I do multiple Chariots in a unit? I can. I can do 3 Secret Chariots. So taking 3 Secret Chariots as a unit, and you get D3 back. So you just drive them into stuff and then use the command ability at the end of the turn. Just keep Be'lakor alive and just keep bringing back Secret Chariots. Oh my god, that would be obnoxious. Are they good? I mean, they have 6 wounds each. They're not very amazing, but it would be trolly as hell to just keep bringing them back. What about Hell Flares? How many Hell Flares have 7 wounds? Bring back Hell Flares every round. I think there's some jank you could do there for sure. Blood Crushers you definitely do. Just take tons of little units of Blood Crushers and then hope they don't die, because they've got 4 wounds each with a 4+ save. Yeah, and they're bloodletters. Yeah, Blood Crushers and Secret Chariots, you could get some stuff going there, and bring them back each round. Because 3+ D3 slain models, somebody's gonna figure out a way to make that silly. And then finally, your spell lore, you get the Master's Command. It's casting 7. If cast, pick a friendly Legion of the First Prince, Bloodletter, Plaguebearer, Demonette, or Horror's Ancient unit, wholly within 12 of the caster invisible. Until the start of your next hero phase, a model from that unit slain by attack made the melee open, they can fight before they're removed from play. So, make them fight when they die, basically. And I think that's neat. Of all of these, the Bloodthirster one and this one with Be'lakor, I think are my favorites. And that's it. That's done. So I do like that these hosts are all, because they're keyed to the God keyword, they're all fairly flexible to integrate into the books. I think that's really neat. That if you just have Khorne as a keyword, you can integrate that, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and then the Legion of the Chaos Ascendant gets the Legion of the First Prince. So the Legion of the Chaos Ascendant has to be your main allegiance to get that one, but for the rest, it's just, is this your main keyword? And that adds to 4 different books, which I think is great. Nurgle, it's funny because Nurgle they were the earlier book, I think, compared to everything else, because Blades of Khorne, Disciples of Slaanesh, and the most recent, Disciples of Tzeentch rather, and then the whatever of Slaanesh, something of Hedonites of Slaanesh, are the most recent books. I'm happy that Nurgle got an extra host compared to everybody else, which I think is pretty cool. And there it is. So again, I said it's pretty rules light. It integrates primarily into chaos, but no matter what flavor of chaos you play, you're gonna get a little something out of this book. And there's a couple cool little trolly things. I really like the Bloodthirster formation, and I really like the Be'lakor formation, just because I think there's something cool you can do with it there. Because it's slain models, and wow, bringing back Chariots and Blood Crushers is gonna be a neat way to play. Someone's gonna figure out a way to make that silly, I think. Not that the Legion of Chaos Ascendant army is great, but again, it allows you to bring in little guys every round. So if you just spend into big guys right from the beginning and just keep bringing them back, that one command trait is going to be huge. So we will see how this book pans out on the game table. There's a few opportunities for some fun stuff though, I think, and I do like this format for taking the timeline forward and also just giving one faction, a Grand Alliance for instance, a bunch of stuff. It kind of feels a bit like City of Sigmar, where everything got kind of sprinkled in a little bit. You take a bunch of things and kind of jammed together and made for an interesting melange with those 4 new legions, the Knights of the Empty Throne and the what is it, Legion of Chaos Ascendant. It's funny, I just turned directly to that page. It's like it knew. So anyway, with that, there is another GMG review. I hope you enjoyed that look at Wrath of the Everchosen. We'll see you for more of these in the future. Thanks, Alan Ash. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.